Yes! And it's moving awfully fast.
Blue car!
Yes! The man in the red car is about to meet the man in the blue car. Get himself a pretty pink ticket.
Turn everyday moments into learning moments. For more tips, go to bornlearning.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
What are you doing?
Filling out a loan application.
I can help you get approved, you know.
Really? How?
With this.
A bag of sand?
It's not a bag, it's a pouch. And it's not sand, it's credit fairy dust.
Credit fairy dust?
Yes, I sprinkle some fairy dust on the application, and your credit rating magically improves.
There's no such thing as the credit fairy.
An unbeliever now. But what will you think when your loan is approved?
I'll think my credit score improved because I paid my bills on time, kept my credit card balances low, and only opened a new card if I really needed it.
It's the dust.
It's sand.
Don't deny the credit fairy.
There's no magic to improving your credit, but there is help, and it's free. Go to creditfairy.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the Consumer Bankers Foundation, the Leadership Conference on Civil Rights Education Fund, and the Ad Council.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Yeah, hi. I'd like to report a bear sighting.
Location?
In the forest, near the side of the road.
No need for alarm, sir. The forest is where bears live.
But this was no ordinary bear.
No ordinary bear?
Yeah, 1 second I'm having a smoke taken into view. Next thing I know, I am face to face with Smokey Bear.
Let me guess, Smokey had a tip for you.
He did. He must have seen me toss my cigarette on the ground. He told me never to do that because it only takes one spark to start a wildfire.
He's a smart bear. Did you know that 9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans? That means 9 out of 10 wildfires can be prevented.
That's what Smokey said. I had no idea.
That's why Smokey's famous. And you're Smokey on. If you see someone make a difference, SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
The views and opinions of the guest and host you hear on 1010 WOLB
are not necessarily those of the staff and management of Radio 1, its sponsors, or advertisers.
It's done unto you as you believe. It's done unto you as you believe. I'm gonna get there, yes, somehow. Push my way through the crowd. I'm gonna grab you by the hand to a place we will stand. Stand proud, no fear. It's clear, I believe in you. I believe in me. Oh yeah, I believe that we can make this dream a reality. Yeah, yeah. Now's the time to be. Now's the time for miracles. Oh, it's in my heart so deep.
Oh, deep. Oh.
'Cause
I believe too. Good morning, Baltimore.
Right on.
I tell you. Good morning to each and every one of you on this rainy, beautiful day. Yeah, I said it's beautiful. You ain't down in South Carolina, so it's a beautiful day. And we pray for those in South Carolina and North Carolina along that coastline there, that they might soon be back to normal. And for, I believe, last count I read, it was 18 or 19 people have died during that travesty. And the sad part about it is when you hear some of the people, when they rescue them, say the biggest complaint I've heard was they didn't have the money to go anywhere. They didn't have the money to get moving. So they got trapped, many of them. But think about those that just stayed. And I'm not sure, but I'm sure they'll find a lot of people who decided that they were just going to try to stick it out. And unfortunately, it cost them their lives. So we pray for them, and we pray for you and each and every one of you here in the city of Baltimore. Yes, because we know that we every day, Leo Burrows, let me introduce you. First of all, he didn't already come in with his own ringtone. Good morning. Please welcome my co-host, I almost said Wayno, Brother Leo Burrows. How are you?
Yeah, we look alike, right?
Yeah, right.
Praise God and pass the ammunition for justice, decency, and fair play.
Yes, we do that. And when we mention Wayno Amon-Ra, we miss him so much. He's up in Omaha, Nebraska, taking care of the people's business up there and his family's business up there. So we're praying for him and wishing him well and wishing him hurry home because we miss you, my brother. And please welcome also my co-host and producer, Mr. Jason Rodriguez. How are you today, Jason?
Good morning, WOLB fam. And everyone, we are now streaming live on Facebook, Periscope, and YouTube Live. So you have many choices to be able to catch our guests, our co-hosts, as well as Patrick Henderson in all of his glory every Monday.
Oh, man, the glory of the Lord is upon me and you. And he has commanded that we love one another as we love him. And I was just talking to Leo as we were getting out of the car, and he was talking about Kaepernick's speech when he received the award the other night and how eloquent it was, and how some people came back with such ridiculous responses. He's doing this because he's of mixed parentage, and all these foolish things instead of understanding that what he is about is LOVE. Love. Love is the miracle.
You have folks who are jealous and resentful and petty. And I don't know that we've had a better advocate in a long, long time as someone who is not just articulate, but he sets the example by doing. He's witnessing by virtue of the acts and the sacrifices he's willing to make and has made to address the issue of police misconduct, police brutality in this country. So whatever you say about him, you cannot say that he's a coward. Nothing. No. He's brave, he's courageous,
smart.
And he tells it like it is. He's smart. And when we talk about love, we've got to talk about, if love is the cornerstone of Colin Kaepernick's protest, it's a cornerstone of Martin Luther King Jr.'s protest. It's a cornerstone of Nat Turner's.
Gandhi. Everybody.
All of our leaders.
People crying out for love.
Manifestly have taken a stance. Love of people is worthy of great sacrifice and a willingness to die if need be to ensure that we shall continue to exist as a people.
Yes.
I just think it's magnificent.
I think it's magnificent. And for all of us who believe in that Jesus was the Christ, we must understand his last two commandments. And that was that we love the Lord thy God with all our heart, mind, and soul and spirit, and that we love our neighbors as we love ourselves. See, I think Jesus was the greatest sociologist that ever lived.
It's more blessed to give than to receive.
It is, man, because
and they think you're talking about money today.
No, exactly.
We're talking about giving of your
Yeah.
totality of oneself.
Yes,
We're not just talking about a capitalistic mortgage.
Right, how you want to be treated. You treat others the way you want to be treated. Now, some of us don't like ourselves, so we kind of like a little abuse every now and then, you know what I mean?
Well, we go to the graveyard and we ambush somebody we don't like. We stand in the graveyard and we're going to get even and we're going to kill people.
Yes.
And that deserves the highest, the most severe penalty.
Yes,
for that kind of
it does. But you
viciousness.
Know what? It does. But we must talk about the root. How did that kid get there? How did those people get where they are? That they would do something so dastardly as to go to someone's funeral and kill people.
Low life.
Well, it's low life. I agree with you. But there's a reason for it.
Yeah, but that's not the only time that we've had that happen.
That's what I've heard.
True.
That's what I've heard.
Man,
but go ahead.
Yeah, it was in the middle of a funeral procession.
A procession.
And the funeral had stopped, and unfortunately, someone got shot.
Do you think that the attempt was to kill a witness? They wanted to silence someone because they're strategic.
My speculation is that it was retaliation. It wasn't just. It's just
witness.
Getting even. It's not just the witnessing. It's the fact that I want to get even. They're trying to make a statement. These hoodlums, these thugs, these horrible people. They're trying to make a statement that we're bad, and ain't nothing you can do with us, and we're going to run rampant.
I don't think it's so much bad. I think it's that they're trying to prove that they're bad. A lot of this is emotional trauma. You're dealing with families that are
post-traumatic stress.
Yeah, that are dealing with loss, and they're retaliating.
I agree, and I know we call them thugs and we call them this, but one of the engineers here at Radio 1 works with a program where they are helping young and men in general get off the streets, get their GEDs. And he was telling me the other day that this company gave them a lot of nice suits for the men to wear. And he said the worst kid in there that gives everybody a problem, who has the worst attitude, he said when that kid put on that suit, he said that was the first time he seen that kid smile. He said his whole demeanor changed. He put on that suit, not because of the suit. It was because he felt like somebody cared.
Amen.
Somebody cared enough for him to think enough of him to say, yeah, come on, we're going to get you ready. We're going to help you get your act cleaned up.
Amen.
And we're going to do it. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that's what we've got to get in our spirits and stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of therapy that's needed, but it's just a simple act of love can change somebody's whole demeanor. I've seen it. I see it in my after-school program, Leo. They told me some of them kids said, no, you don't want them in your program, them furniture movers. And them same kids, they said, now have become some of the best students and loving kids because they realized that somebody validated them, somebody believed in them, somebody listened to them. And that's what is happening. You're right, Jason. It is post-traumatic stress. And the implications are far-reaching and devastating to our people.
There is no substitute for compassion, is it?
None.
Being compassionate.
None whatsoever. I'm going to start taking call. Paul, are you there? You have a question or comment? Yes.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call. First of all, the first church starts in the home.
Yes, sir.
All right? That's where it starts at. The other thing is, I'm in a business where I visit a lot of these stores and convenience stores throughout the city of Baltimore. And there's a problem. There's a problem with young brothers standing in front of these places selling drugs, okay?
Yes.
Now, a lot of my store owners called the cops randomly, and they never come.
Yes, you're right.
Some come, and it's way late.
Yes,
it's a lot going on.
Yes.
One particular incident, a detective told one of my clients that it's a political thing of why they're not coming and arresting these guys that are selling drugs in front of these stores. He said it was political. So I'm trying to figure out what is the political thing that he's talking about outside of Freddie Gray or Marilyn Mosley being elected. What is it? Is it a knee that they taking? Because it sure seems like that throughout Baltimore when you ride down these streets, especially over there by Bay Island, you see the guys on the corner.
Man.
Listen, all kinds of stuff, and the police is way up the street.
Man,
and they're not even getting involved.
Sir, I live in Ashburton. The mayor lives 2 houses down from me. Yes, 2 houses down from me. And over in Dolefield, over in the plaza there right across from the funeral home, right there by the post office, we have been fighting for the last 3 years. 2 people have been killed on the Aldi's parking lot. We have had meetings with our city council people. We met with the police department. We met, and still those people are there nodding out, and a couple of young guys in there making sure they got the drugs. And we keep talking about it. We keep calling the police, and they come and they sit there. They just sit there, and I've taken pictures of them sitting there, Leo, and sent it to the council person. And the police department says, oh, we're there gaining evidence, we're there observing, we're there investigating. Yes, sir, I'm listening. Go ahead, Paul.
Let me just say this, and this go out to all the old people in Baltimore, because if the young people are not voting like they say they're not, I want to know why this city council president still went there. Let me tell you something. 2 years ago, I sat in a fundraiser with this guy. Okay, and I witnessed from my own eyes.
You talking about Young?
Yes, the Chinese Association giving this man all kind of money and checks and all this stuff, and wondering why we got liquor stores on our corners. I asked the president of the association, exactly what is he doing for y'all? He makes sure our business stay afloat. So all you old people want to keep putting these same people in Baltimore in our political situations where they supposed to be making change, then this is why our city is the way it is. It's time for them to go.
Yes, sir.
All of them.
Yes, sir.
4 years, 5 years, they have to go. It's time to start doing it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Paul. Yes, Leo.
Yeah, I think in line with what the caller has said, I've been an advocate for term limits for a long time.
Yes, you have.
And I don't know that it's going to change, but I'm still saying that after X number of years, whether it's 8 years or 12, there needs to be term limits on not only the city council, but also the state legislators, the state senators and House of Delegates people, as well as the federal congressmen and members of the U.S. House of Representatives. And there are no such limits. Also, your caller alluded to taking a knee on the part of the police department. Well, I think in the main, he hit the nail on the head. Sure, they're taking a knee. Gene Ryan, who's the head of the Fraternal Order of Police, Lodge number 3 here in Baltimore, and Bob Cherry, who they alternate acting as president of this FOP chapter from year to year. They are, in essence, opposed to the implementation of a consent decree in ways that are reform. In other words, we need to reform our police department, but every time you get to a point in time when it's going to come to fruition, they throw some kind of roadblock in the way, usually the law enforcement officer's Bill of Rights, to justify why not moving forward on various issues. So I'm not at all surprised that police aren't moving. I know that as recently as last Monday, Sharon Baptist Church offices of the pastor of that church were broken into. And there's a wave of robberies and break-ins in churches in Sandtown community and Winchester and other places. So we're going to have to find a way in the interim to protect ourselves, and that's easier said than done because many of us feel that we don't have that authority. Well, we have to have that authority in the final analysis. Good people, good men and women have to form their own patrols. That doesn't mean you don't call the police. That doesn't mean you don't document when you call 911 what your complaints are. But at this point in time, I view it as retaliation in regards to Freddie Gray. You still have officers who are still there.
That were there then.
And
conflicted.
And conflicted. And they're not going anywhere.
And that is the problem. But you would think, Mayor Catherine Pugh, I love you. I've known you for a number of years and known you since my days at BCCC, and I voted for you. And I really, really expected more than what we're getting.
Yeah, but like Tina Turner said, what's love got to do with it?
What's love got to do with it? Well, it sure is when it comes to the people. My problem is I can't
She's
understand.
She's afraid.
Do you think, what is she afraid of, Leo? What is she afraid of? I mean, she's the mayor. She has the power to just say, no, you get this straight.
She has to receive the sanction of the folks in Annapolis, her buddies, Mike Miller, the president of the state Senate, and others who helped her to get where she is. She's been in politics 30 years at least. She's an old-timer politically, and the Fraternal Order of Police have a lock on power in many respects with regard to the law enforcement officer's Bill of Rights and the protections that should be afforded to the citizens that are not afforded. So we're in a battle for our lives. We've got to move ahead. Folks talk about boycotting as a solution. If I say go march and demonstrate and rally, folks say, well, marches and demonstrations are out of style. They're old-fashioned. We don't march. We don't rally anymore. Well, if that's the case, if you're going to use boycotts as a lever to affect change, such as boycotting the home games of the Ravens, for example, on this issue of police brutality. Somebody's got to lead that boycott. Now, is that going to be the Baltimore chapter of the Urban League? I don't think so. They're very elitist.
Or the
NAACP. No. They're impotent in this chapter here, not necessarily at the state level. So I'm saying that we're just not getting the leadership that we need. The Interdenominational Ministers Alliance, they're not leading aggressively on this issue. And a lot of folks are, as you know, are jumping on the bandwagon of Larry Hogan because they presume and assume that he's going to win. And so they're jumping on his bandwagon, and they don't really care about the poor and downtrodden in terms of the working class black people. Not really.
We've had this. We're having this conversation as I woke up this morning and I opened to my Facebook page. There was a declaration on there by George Mitchell. And many of you know George Mitchell over in Park Heights.
That's right.
He's got the Langston Hughes School.
Doing a good job with Langston Hughes.
Incredible job.
Great job.
It is becoming really the social center. All sorts of wonderful things are happening there.
Just had a beautiful wedding there this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, just incredible things. Great use of the space. But he came out and said that he was supporting Hogan. And I was kind of surprised, but I wasn't surprised that he is supporting Hogan.
Okay.
Because I know that in order for him to get that school, somebody had to come in with a lot of power and say, give it to him. And,
That's right.
And I know Peter Franchot was there because I've attended several events there where Peter Franchot was there.
The state controller.
The state controller. So I know that Peter Franchot, but I'm wondering, is this what happens all the time? Well, one person get their needs met, their desires, their programs met. Then they forget about the overall picture, and in particular with Hogan is this thing about the HBCUs and the fact that he will not drop that lawsuit, and the fact that he has now been known to be the once the executive director of an organization that is linked to ALEC, that's owned by the Koch brothers, who invented the Stand Your Ground law in Florida. Just deep racist things that we don't look at, and we don't see them because they do it under the cover of some great organization. Apple, everybody left ALEC once they found out what ALEC was doing with the money and
Delta.
what they were doing. Delta, everybody left them. But to think that our governor was once the executive director of the local chapter of that organization under like actually the money's for education to the Supreme Court, they're going to shut it down any aid to HBCUs.
And the implication will be nationwide with all the HBCUs and
now, who is
around
our,
the country.
Restate for the audience, although they know, who's the Attorney General of the state of Maryland?
Peter Franchot.
No,
I'm sorry. No, Frosch.
Brian Frosch.
Yes.
All right, let's put Brian Frosch, who's a Democrat, and
name
Larry,
only.
Larry Hogan, and Peter Franchot. You say, well, they're disparate. Well, they're all white men, and they are, at this point, in my estimation, white nationalists. You say, oh no, Peter couldn't be a white nationalist because he's a liberal, whatever the hell a liberal is. They're liberally not giving a damn about our well-being. And they've joined hands. This white nationalism encompasses and embraces white folks of all stripes. Some of them are liberal, middle of the road, centrists, jackasses, or whomever. They want to bring about the demise of the HBCUs. And the appeal is still pending before the circuit court, the Fourth Circuit in Richmond, Virginia. And Brian Frosch and Larry Hogan are co-conspirators, in my estimation, in that regard. So, yeah, you're right about Larry Hogan, but I'm saying the Maryland Higher Education Commission is buttressed by what? The University of Maryland. They generally dominate and control the So all of these forces coming together, University of Maryland, Maryland Higher, they've all said, let's bring an end to HBCUs. Now, they're not saying it as I'm articulating it, but I interpret their actions as such that they don't care about our continued existence.
Leo, let's talk about who is the head of that commission. Isn't the former president of University of Maryland now the head of the education education department? Yes, he is. The person that was fighting, that was a part of the lawsuit that we were filing lawsuits against. He's now the head of that commission. Right. I can't think of his name.
And Robert, I'm not talking about the fellow you're talking about, but Robert Carrott is still the chancellor of the University of Maryland.
Okay,
but I'm saying,
this guy's former.
And Carrott was at one time the president of the school in Towson University.
Okay.
I'm just saying, the confluence, all these forces
Right.
have come together
Right.
to destroy any hope of continued educational advancement and enhancement of historically black colleges and universities, which don't just teach STEM. They teach, we hope, a positive value system from an African frame of reference. Our African heritage and culture means everything to our continued existence.
Yes, I totally agree, and it's proven scientifically that black children that go to historically black colleges are not only more stable and feel more validated in their lives, but go on to do great things. And have you noticed that the number of white kids that are coming to HBCUs is astounding? We don't talk about that, but they come in left and right. You know why? Because the rates are so low. They can come and go to a traditionally an HBCU and not pay nearly the fortune that they have to pay if they went to a white school on par. And so
the education is some of the best in the world. I mean, Morgan State has the best engineering program,
right? Exactly,
the best journalism program.
But they're being overflowed with white kids coming, and at the same time, that we're having record number of black kids now coming to HBCUs. So maybe there is some salvation. Maybe there is some way that there's going to be a balance here. But the idea that the people that you're talking about electing governor is recalcitrant. They're sitting there and acting like it's not on him when he has the power to shut it down. Should say something to you about his character.
Look at what the Democratic Party has done and is doing to Ben Jealous.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the standard bearer. He was voted to be the representative for as governor in the primary
Democratic
election.
Party, yes.
And I look upon it as massive betrayal on the part of many people who, they weren't supporting him. They didn't finance his campaign. At last, he's got an ad, I'm told. I haven't seen it as yet, but it's an ad, 1 minute television advertisement. But he's underfunded.
He is, but when did you have you seen anything asking for money? I've been looking for some place to send money to. I don't see it on Facebook. Send money to support the campaign. I don't see that.
I have seen a new commercial, though, today.
But have you seen anything on media, on social media, that says support the Jealous Fund? I haven't seen it.
Everything has been done that could be done to destroy his advocacy and his candidacy. And Kiefer Mitchell, as I told you before, in my opinion, as a paid special assistant to the governor of Maryland, he's been a special assistant for at least 3 years, has been a prime mover in orchestrating the Democrats for Hogan. And, so a lot of people are, and Kiefer Mitchell's uncle, don't forget, it was Perrin Mitchell.
I know.
And I've said Perrin would have turned over in his grave, and I've been lambasted for saying that.
But you know what? I think these Mitchell boys, are trying to keep money in their pocket. And I hate to be so crass as to say that, but politics is about money and lying. And Kiefer Mitchell, and what's the other one on there, got the radio show every morning?
C4.
C4, man, that guy, talk about a sellout. This guy, he knows that much of the stuff that he espouses is not true. He's being paid to do that. He's obviously got a hot show.
So you're pandering to the interests of the corporate elite
and I'm wondering
and the rich white folks.
Shock Radio.
Exactly. People like George Mitchell, who is getting what he needs. But at the same time, George, I would like to hear what you have to say about Hogan and the HBCUs. If you're listening or somebody's listening, you can tell him to call.
I think George is a great guy.
He is.
But again, he has a right to take a stand anywhere he so chooses. I'm sorry he's on that side, but that's the way it is in politics. You choose who you want to choose. But I'm saying the cards have been dealt and are being dealt in favor of Larry Hogan in terms of his financing. What did he have, $9 million? What was it, 9 or 10, at least. Right. So he had the preponderance of the money and follow the money.
Not only
and
that,
follow
Leo,
the leaders.
He had the National Republican Governors Association. They're the ones that took out all those ads that set the frame with emotional framework.
In addition to the money.
In addition to the money
and
that
the
he's
Democrats, getting. The Democrats have betrayed Ben Jealous in the same way they betrayed Donna Edwards, if you remember that name of Donna Edwards.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
And when she was a congresswoman,
yes.
And they would not come together behind a black woman who wanted to be the U.S., to be in the Senate, representing Maryland, and of course, Chris Van Hollen is in that seat now.
I've heard more from her since she's been out of office than I heard from her when she was in office. She's on MSNBC now all of the time, and she's talking all these wonderful things, but I met her in an elevator one day.
And you said you didn't like her too well.
Well, she was so smug. I was trying to just, you know how I am. I talk to people, and she act like I had a smell. I know I bathed that morning. I didn't stink, but
maybe that was a bad day. I like Donna. I like Donna Edwards.
The problem that I have with the whole relationship between George Mitchell and the governor is that recently the governor has come to the center, to the Langston Hughes Center, to talk about all these great things that he's going to accomplish or try to help move forward in Park Heights. But where were you for 4 years? Where the hell were you for 4 years?
Well, he was governor.
See, now that we're in
he was looking.
That's what they do.
But now that we're in an election cycle,
and he's coming acting like he's been this great savior.
You're willing to come to
the
community.
You say what people want to hear
and say, "Oh, Park Heights! I can't believe Park Heights looks like this." I'm here to assist and help from the state level. But where have you been for 4 years?
Being gentrified big time.
All right, listen, guys, let me get to the callers here. You're listening to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People on WOLB 1010 Baltimore. Don't touch that dial.
1010 WOLB Baltimore and WERQ FM HD3 Baltimore.
Yes, we're back, and we're happy that you're joining us today. Sit back, and some of y'all at home and stuff, pick up that phone. Let's talk. George Mitchell, if y'all know George, tell him I'm looking for him. He needs to call me and explain himself.
He's probably watching it now, family on Facebook Live. So just want to remind everyone, we are now live on Facebook, Periscope, and YouTube Live. So you have many ways that you can catch our program.
Yes, please check in. Gene, good morning to you. Good afternoon. How are you today, sir?
Yeah, pretty good. How's everybody?
We're well.
How you doing, Gene?
Yeah, pretty good. Mr. Mitchell is, there's a lot of sports betting money coming to Park Heights.
Park Heights.
No, Lower Park Heights.
Upper Park Heights.
Say it again?
Upper Park Heights.
Yeah, because we've been fighting for it on the lower end for a while.
He's also jockeying for some of that money. He wouldn't be lying himself.
He can't get any of the money from the lottery. A lot of people don't know that. He's in some sort of way. That school got X'd out of it. He can't get lottery money. If he could get lottery money, he would have had it. But he can't. They won't give it to him.
Well, that's a great explanation. Thank you for the explanation.
Yes, sir.
Because I did not know that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so today on the Larry Show, he explained why Quiezy is with the governor, or not with the governor, but he's being quiet because he wants money from the governor.
He's president of the Board of Regents at Morgan.
Yes, right. So it's to his interest.
Quiezy and Fume.
So it's to their interest to be
not
quiet,
to say anything at this point.
Okay, so not to say anything. So Brian Frosh, this is what I asked on the Friday show with Carlton Douglas and them. I said, okay, so Brian Frosh is a Democrat. He's heading the anti-HBCU agenda, right?
That is correct.
Okay, so we don't like Brian Frosh, right? But are we gonna vote for Brian Frosh? Because nobody's saying not to vote for Brian Frosh.
I'm not going to vote for Brian Frosh.
Who are you going to vote for, Leo?
I'm not going to vote for Brian Frosh.
Who are you going to vote for, Leo?
I may leave that slot blank, or I might vote for Craig Wolf. Craig Wolf is the Republican candidate for Attorney General, and Craig Wolf said on this issue of HBCUs that he would never have appealed this case. He would have resolved it at the state level. That's what he's saying. Okay, I haven't finalized my decision.
Do you think we could hold his feet to the fire on that statement?
As much as you can hold any politician's feet to the fire. Okay, when they get elected, you'll find out whether they're going to be they're going to adhere to what they said, and if they don't, you don't vote for them again. You vote for someone else.
Why can't we have them sign an MOU? A memorandum of understanding. I mean,
but that's that's a great suggestion that could be done. But you know what I mean. I would know how about. I'm serious. When I don't know something, I just ask questions, and I usually.
No, I think it's a good discussion, man. I think so.
He probably say I didn't write it on legal stationery, like
right.
So it wasn't
rooted in the sand, huh?
But again, and what's the question that's on there? Oh man, I thought about this the other day. The lockbox.
Yeah, putting on education. I like that.
Yeah, that was. But it was so confusing in the sense that when we talk about the lockbox, we talk about so many other things that I just don't think that people who listen to the radio station really understood it. So I asked that question on the what was it called?
What station?
People who do the buses or whatever.
Oh yeah, the MTA, the union.
Yes.
David McClure's show, Lunch with Labor.
But they were honest too, about Brian Frosh also, you know what I mean? They didn't want to answer that question because he's a Democrat, they're behind the unions, etc. But the lockbox issue is one that we should be voting for because that's going to be a memorandum on when you get your ballot and stuff. So, so these are just questions to me because as a voter, I'm going to have to deal with this. And so I just want to know when I get my absentee ballot thing, I'm going to fill it out. And then when these questions come up, I want to know, I want to be sure that I'm voting in unison with, the wishes of the black community, what's beneficial to us. That's all.
I favor the lockbox along with you. I agree with you that the concept, the monies from the casinos go exclusively to schools. Makes sense.
Yeah, and the other, in reference to the money not going to the Park Heights community or whatever it's going to be gentrified, etc. I live in Park Heights. I live in what's called, George, they call it North Park Heights, or, Will Hanna said they call it Upper Park Heights, not lower. Don't Southern or whatever. Don't use a negative connotation or whatever. But, when you start naming, I can name my neighbors, people who live here, and you've heard them say where they live. And, this is our community, and it's a great community. And why it.
I think that's the problem. Some folks are fighting for resources, others are begging for resources, and others are getting resources. So
divide and conquer.
Yeah, but my thing, I just divide and conquer, but also it's like, well, how the hell do they get the resources? How come they're
it's
not?
Who you know in some cases.
If this is a model city area of the city, and the rest of the city is deteriorating. How come they're not using it as a model for Sandtown, Winchester, et cetera, et cetera?
I agree with you. Thank you so much for your call, Gene. I appreciate it. Always talking to you. Mohammed, how are you today, sir? Welcome to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People. You have a question or comment?
Well, I'm doing pretty well, Mr. Henderson. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, brother.
How you doing, man?
Walaikum assalam. Brother Leo, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, sir. How you doing?
Wonderful. I'm glad you're still here, brother, with your rumbling stuff.
Me too. We all are glad he's still here. Yeah. Do you have a question or comment, sir?
Yes, sir. I'd just like to say that Mr. Leo was spot on. In terms of his analysis of how these people really feel about us politically. It is a subtle, it's an implicit cooperation among them to keep us at a certain position. And going forward into the 21st century, we got to, it is interlocking directorate time. That's what time this was. All of us, we need to get together and sit on each other's boards and approach these people. It's going forward to the 21st century, and ask these people to redesign the Great Seal for one thing, because the arrows and the olive branches in the Great Seal are two nations over here in the United States. Us and the Native Americans. They tell the whole world, look, I got two nations in my possession. Come on over here and make money off of them. But it's going to cost you, though. We're a criminal foundation.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, man. It's so much It is so much when we just sit back and look at it, all the ways, all the little signs, starting with the national anthem. Was it the third verse in the national anthem that talks about slaves, keeping them with their foot on it? And that is still our national anthem.
And you know what, Patrick? They refuse to realize that is criminal. It's criminal.
It's not as long as they do it. It's not criminal because they're going to get away with it. But thank you so much for Mohammed. I got a bunch of calls here, but thank you absolutely. 410-481-1010. 410-481-1010. I got to tell you, or
nationwide at 877-704-1010. Again, that's 877-407. I'm sorry, 704. 1010 nationwide.
I don't understand why we get that out. It ain't long distance to call nobody no more.
We do have our followers nationwide now.
They can just pick up the phone and just dial 410-481-1010, can't they?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. I'm just wondering why they paying that extra phone bill. But anyway, for whatever reason.
Unless they have that AARP.
We're not laughing. Any form of communication you can do, you're blessed to have. Roscoe, welcome to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People. You have a question or comment?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to you, brothers. How you doing today?
Good afternoon, sir.
Hey, listen, I got a question for my hero there, Mr. Barris. But, Patrick, let me say this real quick. I went to a concert a couple months ago at Morgan State University, and I just happened to be sitting beside a guy that I longed to meet, and I had never met him. But when I heard him open his mouth, I knew it was my hero, Mr. Leo Barris, and we had a wonderful.
Where was this?
There.
At Morgan.
This was at Morgan State University.
Yeah. Now I remember.
There was a concert that was about a few R&B stars. It was one of the best concerts that I'd ever been.
That's been about 4 or 5 months ago.
Exactly. And I've been going to concerts about 50 years. But here's my question, Mr. Barris. I've listened to you make your comments about Hogan, ever since he's been in office. And my question is, would you have preferred Anthony Brown to get that job?
Anthony Brown. No. My problem, I can't say I would have preferred Anthony Brown because I didn't know anything about him, and I'm not sure he wanted us to know anything about it.
He had been the lieutenant governor under O'Malley for 8 years.
Oh, Lord, when you mention O'Malley, that's an anathema. I mean, anybody's associated with O'Malley, I'm looking askance.
Exactly.
Well, so your answer is no.
No, hell no.
No, but we had some great candidates during the primary that just didn't sit front and center, and they pushed Brown.
Well, until Brown opened his mouth and said that he wasn't black, then people realized that we were dealing with West Indian.
Brown did a Tiger Woods, huh?
Yeah.
Black. Brown, he wasn't sure what he is.
But when it came down to the general election, that was the choices that we had, Brown or Hogan. And so that's why Hogan is there. It's because of the people. It's not necessarily because of great Republican and Democratic.
Right, I agree. I voted for Hogan. I admit I'd vote because I wanted to get rid of O'Malley, that cabal.
Exactly, that's why, because we didn't want it no more of O'Malley.
That's right, I did vote for
Brown. Brown never spoke of a black agenda. He never talked about the priorities.
He didn't think he was black. He said
the priorities that we face as a people.
He wanted to be black when he wanted to because
it was convenient.
Around certain folks, he was telling the story of him, coming from Jamaican immigrated parents. So there was times where he was definitely talking about his black heritage and his roots and where he came from. Very proud. When he get around white folks, it was different.
Raheem, you there?
Oh, man.
Raheem.
Oh, the language, Raheem, come on now, come in there.
You're on the air.
To hold that language right quick. Yes, sir, you on.
Sir. Thank you, Brother Patrick.
You're welcome.
I want to give another perspective to this issue of why Democrats, and listen, I respect Leo tremendously. He's one of our greatest advocates in Baltimore City. I've never met him, but I have met him in my spirit. I want to say this, Patrick. I have supported, I'm not going to call no names, I have supported Democratic candidates for the last 25 years. I'm talking about blew my car out, worked harder than they worked to get me elected.
Yes, sir, me too.
The reality is this, Patrick. Democrats has not served their constituents well in Maryland. Okay?
Amen.
People get to the point, let me finish. People get to the point when they start getting old, they get tired of trying to
get with the party, the race. They got at some point get into winning politics where they can get something. You've been sacrificing for 25 years. And I'm telling you, I've been crossed by some folks. I don't know if you know it. I ran for the 40th district, got 1,075 votes. The only money I got was $6,000. I've been in the community for the last 30 years, working hard. The reality is this. There is a Democratic clique. And if you ain't in the clique, you ain't getting the paper, you ain't getting in.
Support nothing.
And that's why Sheila Dixon had to run a grassroots candidacy the last time. And she almost won. But I guarantee you, when she run again, she going to win because people are beginning to see the crap that they playing. Hey, man, you can beat the Republicans down. And I definitely don't like Republicans. But what I want to say, in Maryland, I smell a rat with the Democratic Party, and I am a Democrat.
And
more than one rat.
And I'm going to wait for your comment.
Well, you know what? Don't hang up yet, but I want you to know I smell that rat. I don't smell that rat. I see that rat. We see them rats. We ain't got to smell them. They walk right in front of us, come to our faces, to our churches, to our communities, and lie flat-footed to us. And when do we stand up and say, Booger, we know you? But I got to ask you, Ben, one reason I wanted you to stay on was because if indeed, what's the former mayor's name that you just mentioned? I'm having a brain. Sheila Dixon. Do you think? Listen. Do you think she would be? She was here mayor before. The police was doing 10 times worse stuff than they were doing. How do you think of Leo is saying that they don't have any choice? That is coming from the state. That they have to buck and bow to the fraternal order of police because of the policeman bill of rights or whatever. So why do you think she might have more power to change that than the present mayor?
Let me say this. Whether you want to accept it or not, sometimes when God thanks you, He'll awaken you at the same time.
I agree.
Hear me out. The amount of votes she got say that she still have the love and respect of the people of Baltimore.
Yes, Raheem.
I truly believe, listen to me, I truly believe that, and she's going to run against Prue, make no doubt about it, and I'm going to be in her campaign if she runs. I don't care if I'm the lowest on the poll, I'm going to be in there because I believe that she made some minor mistakes, but she ain't made mistakes nowhere near what we hear in Washington.
Right,
and
I agree with you.
For the people of Baltimore.
But you didn't answer my question, Raheem. Come on, I haven't got a whole bunch of time. You answered my question. How would she be different than the current mayor with the police if she was mayor before and the situation was worse than it is now with the police?
I did answer, but you didn't hear it. What I said was she got spanked, and as a result of getting spanked,
okay. So you think she would be a little more resistant? She would be a little more resistant, you were saying, that because she knows what... All right, I got you.
Raheem, I've told this to Patrick before.
She'll be more committed to the people and less committed to those people who, at the end of the day, cross her.
I had brought this argument up to you before, Patrick. I said that to me, I would think that she would be a little bit more humbled. She wouldn't be necessarily a part of the establishment because the establishment kicked her out of that rat pack.
That's fruit for thought.
You know what I mean?
That is fruit for thought.
And then if anything, she had no other choice to be more accountable to the people because she can't be accountable to the system because the system don't want her anymore.
Okay, Leo?
I just want you to know, Raheem and everyone, that although I'm a registered Democrat, that last election, you remember when they had a Green Party candidate who ran for mayor, Joshua Harris? I voted for him. I voted for him. That was my own decision. I didn't vote Democrat, even though I'm registered as a Democrat. I'll vote for anybody in any party if I think they genuinely care about. We got to forget about party labels.
Absolutely. And I truly believe that Sheila Dixon, after what she's gone through, and she has grown from it, I really think she's a mayor that can turn this city around. But she's only going to get elected by grassroots folks. We got to give our 20s and our 10s and our 15s like Obama did when he won. And I'm telling you, we'll see a different Baltimore.
All right,
I agree with
Raheem,
you.
you know what? I'm gonna tell you, that is the most convincing argument that I've heard about supporting her. And you know, and from your mouth to God's ears, and to the people of Baltimore that will believe that this woman is in seeking her redemption, she would come in and stand for the people. Now, I'm gonna consider that, and I bless you for that. Thank you so much.
And I have my own testimony as well. I told you, when me and my wife were at our lowest point, and we were dealing with public housing issues and false arrests by the Southern District Police Department, it was Sheila Dixon, who at the time was going through her own court proceedings. She was going through a court proceeding of her own, helped us and made sure that we didn't end up homeless in the process, and put us in a house over on Gilmore Avenue, Gilmore Street. If it wasn't for that, we'd have been homeless.
Yeah, but did she know you before?
No, she didn't know us at all.
She didn't know you from working with Hassan?
We were in the process of going down to the police misconduct's office that when Patricia Jessamy, Attorney Patricia, State Attorney Jessamy was running the department at the time. They used to have a police misconduct's office that was in the elevator. I never met Sheila Dick in my life. I wasn't working for Hassan or doing any work with DMV Daily with Hassan at the time. And we told the mayor exactly what was going on at the time, because my wife was in tears. You know, we were trying to fight this police corruption.
No, she'll intercede in your behalf.
Oh, and
she'll do that. She'll do that.
And she was a lame duck mayor at the time, because most agencies weren't dealing with her for the simple fact that she was going through trial at the time.
No other mayor in the history of this city has had their home raided and boxes taken out at 2 o'clock in the morning and 3 o'clock in the morning. No one else has suffered that kind of abuse, allegedly, because of some $600 in gift cards.
Gentlemen, I am almost persuaded.
No, I think
we will work on this and talk about
I think
this
she's
more.
very much redeemable.
Redeemed. Smitty, welcome to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People. Do you have a question or comment, sir?
Well, I got both of them. You guys are doing such a great job, but I just want to add in, Mr. Patrick, because you know this conversation before about talking about the new president that we have. I do feel though this way here to answer that question real fast with you that you asked. A new broom sweep cleaner, but an old broom nowhere to go. Now Sheila is like damaged goods. But she knew who was there for, and she knew who was there not for. But one thing I want you to keep in mind is that she manages millions and millions of dollars of city funds, and all you could get her on was $500, then there's something wrong with us on the outside looking inside. Okay?
While the other politicians steal billions. Yeah.
That's right. See, and we got to also look at what made you know that they went in and went to her personal life and then took her house over and done the things that they done that we allowed them to do by not speaking up.
So they villainized her.
Yes, they did.
They villainized her. Okay.
That's right. And I think that she came through the ranks. She came from city council all the way to vice president of the city council, president of the city council, then to mayor.
Right.
So
almost 20 plus years.
Well, this
she
is
paid her dues. And I'll tell you what. The reason why she was not the mayor today is because we like to play games with each other instead of looking at records of what we have accomplished along the way.
No.
And everybody should.
Well, you know what? That's interesting. And that's interesting you should say that. But I'm going to tell you, the one thing they can do, just like they did to Hillary Clinton, and I had some problems with Hillary, but they vilified her for so long that so many people had doubts about her. The Russians came in and put a propaganda on Facebook and all these other things. You can villainize a person so bad that I'm going to tell you what happened, because we didn't vote in that election. It was the white folks that put Kathy Pugh in office. It wasn't black people that put Kathy Pugh in office. And we must understand it, because there's a running joke among politicians, and I've heard them say, them N-words don't vote. See, that's our problem. We got to buck up and get to voting. If it's blacks in Baltimore and the blacks in PG County voted for Jallis, he would be the governor of Maryland. If we voted, and getting us to vote is the problem, and it's something one of the other callers.
What what we do, we scatter ourselves in different ways instead of getting behind one candidate that would do something for us instead of spreading our votes with this person and that person.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's by plan. Now, look what happened in the state's attorney's thing just ran. All them other people. I was talking to Ivan Bates the other day. Has anybody heard from that guy Vizagara or whatever his name is? No, nobody's heard from. Those are just ploys to split the vote up. And we got to look at what's happening with these people and what the city government is doing. They put those people right there. Right now, they're saying that all the rich Republicans that hate Trump are now giving money to the Democrats because they want this madness to end. Thank you, Smith, as always. Bless you.
Thank you, brother.
Thomas, welcome to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People. You have a question or comment?
Hey, Patrick, how you guys doing?
We're well, thank you.
How you doing, man?
I am so glad you guys are touching on this topic, man. As some people would say, you guys are putting it right where the goats can get it right now, man. Let me explain this to you guys. People say that Sheila had indiscretions or whatever she had. They all got indiscretions, Patrick.
Yes.
The indiscretions that they have is they get in office and they think they can do what these white folks do.
Ooh, you better testify up in here. Yes, sir.
They cannot do that, okay? Case in point, okay? Sheila won 93% of the voting districts, okay? Catherine Pugh won 7% of the voting districts. Catherine Pugh became mayor. Now, I'm not that brilliant in math, Patrick. I think we had a president, George Bush, he would call it fuzzy math. It's a fuzzy math went on with that situation, Patrick.
And Brother Thomas, did we have a whole bunch of voting irregularities at the time as well?
Voter suppression.
Right over in Park Heights. Some people, they changed voting place and didn't tell people where to even go vote. No, you're right. There's been voter suppression.
And that's what I'm saying about that, Patrick.
Okay.
Why has not anybody called for the resignation of Armstead Jones?
But wait a minute, how we going? Let's talk. Who's the head of the elections? She's
her name is Linda Lamone.
Yeah, well,
Linda Lamone has held the position as administrator of the State Board of Elections for 21 years in Annapolis. She's part of the old guard.
She's worse than that, Leo. She's worse than that. She's best friends with an oligarch from Russia who we're getting all our voting machines from.
Well, that's part of the Democratic political machine that disenfranchises voters in this state. And
but how come the governor ain't saying nothing about that?
Because the governor is part of the system. He's going to go along.
What's going on benefits Hogan right now. When we were talking to him about HBCUs having equal funding, I remember him and Brian Frost both said they were in support of HBCUs. When they got in office, they give us the behinds to kids. Catherine Pugh, when she got in office, she was for $15 an hour minimum wage.
She was.
Then she turned around, give us her butt to kiss because she didn't want to put it. She didn't want to tell the developers who came up against this. But what she told you was she had met with some black pastors that told her to vote against this. Patrick, you being into the ministry as minister of music and stuff, what pastor you know that don't want their congregation to make more money?
So they can pay more tithes. Don't get me started, my brother. Don't get me started. But you realize it's the same thing I was talking about with George Mitchell. See, when people get their little things satisfied, when they get what they want, then they have a tendency to side with people that are not there for the macro. They're there for the micro, which is them, that preacher or that leader. He said, I got what I need for what I want to do. So I don't see the micro. Not saying that George wouldn't try to influence the governor into doing it, but why should he influence this man to try to do what is right? There is no reason in God's good earth not to support HBCUs. They are too vital to our community. But if you don't think it's...
We got delegates and senators that came through HBCUs.
Absolutely.
Look at Kiefer Mitchell. From the prestigious Mitchell family.
Yeah.
Barry Mitchell, well, let me clarify this. This is my views and opinions.
Listen, I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you to hold that because we've already been through that and we know the history of that family well. And like we said, they're sellouts.
But the ministers are courted by the political establishment,
Yes, absolutely.
whoever's in
For
power.
decades.
So if you're a big preacher and you're operating a mega church, the big churches, and some of these preachers getting $150,000, $200,000 a year salaries, they're going to roll where the money, they're going to follow the money politically, and they're not necessarily going to be activists, even in mobilizing voter education and voter registration. They're not thinking about voter education and registration.
They get quiet.
They're quiet. They're not trying to mobilize people.
Right, whereas they used to be.
Getting
that vote out.
Marion Bascom was.
Listen, it was the way.
Samuel Daniels
it was. The way,
was.
Even the Church of God in Christ I grew up in, they talked about it.
Yeah,
You know, they don't
but
do
now
much but a bunch of dancing.
They're talking about the Church of Prosperity, which means follow the dollar for the Lord.
Patrick, this is from Luke Broadwater. This is from May 20th, 2016. This was during the election.
Baltimore Sun.
Right, the Baltimore Sun. And it actually made the LA Times as well. Officials reported Thursday that more than 1,000 more votes were casted during the April 26th primary in Baltimore than there were voters checked in at the polls.
Whoa.
Someone should have gone to jail.
Yeah, never even an investigation.
Well, they did try. So again, the investigation part has to fall on the candidate. So, and Sheila Dixon.
The state doesn't do it?
No. So what ends up happening is she has to challenge it, and they were going to challenge it. They submitted some of the legal parts for the challenge at the Board of Elections, but it costs money to do that because you have to get lawyers involved.
But you also have something called amicus curiae, which allows a citizens group or citizens to go to court, to go to a circuit court and challenge. But we're not that. We're not that well organized.
All of
to do
our
that.
great lawyers in town.
They're
we
sold
need
out.
you all to come. One of you to come and help the people and to work for the people. Because if the state knew that happened and they didn't go and check it, then that means they're complicit.
We
Am
have a monumental bar association. 1935 they were founded, and Thurgood Marshall was one of the founders. The Baltimore City Monumental Bar Association, and they are not doing as an association.
Used to be monumental. Right now, we're wondering if they're there at all and what their purpose
well,
is. Rick,
they carry the name monumental.
Well, okay, name only.
Monumental failures.
Rick, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Thank you for
How you doing
holding.
today?
We're well. Thank you for calling.
Good. You too, Mr. Leo. I met you one day in Dr. Reddy's office. You might not remember, so.
What's your name, sir?
Richard.
Oh, okay.
My real
We
name's
got the
Richard.
same doctor.
Yeah, I met you in Dr. Reddy's office.
All right, Richard, go ahead.
Yeah, first of all, actually, I agree with you about C4, though, because he's over right there pushing Kavanaugh.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, he's a good Negro. Good Negro.
Yeah, I'm sure he's being paid very well by that station.
Yeah, he is a black man doing with a mouth like that against his own people. He's priceless.
Well,
that's
there are
why
a lot
they do
of
it.
them. There
When
are
he
a lot
couldn't
of
get
them.
arrested nowhere else, he obviously couldn't find a job doing nothing else. That was the only thing he could do. He had the name, and he obviously has the smarts to be able to convince them that he believes in what they're doing. But his history does not indicate that is what's happened during his life.
So those terms of house Negroes speak to a characterization of those blacks who more readily will sell out and who love massa and do what massa say.
What's that movie Spike Lee has, The Black Klansman? Like
That was a great movie. I wonder if we went to see that movie. I saw it. It was great.
Yeah.
Even though I knew the history, but it was a great movie.
Over there
and it's a true story.
Yeah,
That's the
but
thing that's
it's great. But I bet you we didn't go see it.
It did pretty good.
Did it do that well?
It did pretty good. Rick,
well,
go ahead.
pardon me.
And it's going to sell a ton of video, DVDs.
Okay.
Go ahead, Rick.
What I want to say is, too, I disagree about the police taking a knee. Because the way I live up here in Park Heights, I mean, they lock them black folks up day and night.
Wow.
So I disagree about that taking a knee. You know.
In your neighborhood.
In your neighborhood.
I don't know, because I said Plimlico Road and Park Heights Avenue. I've been doing Uber Eat, and one night we stepped out, and there was crap shooting going on.
I know.
There was weed smoking.
I'm talking about Belvedere and Park Heights. You talking about that area there?
Well, you got 9 police districts in the city, and some
but they be
district
sitting there, and the
commanders.
people still be selling drugs across the street. I see it all the time.
and they
And
see
the
it.
police officer was right across the
I
street.
know. So
by
what
the
area
racetrack.
are you talking about, sir?
Oh, I'm talking about like Park Heights, all up and down Park Heights Avenue. I mean, because I got pulled over coming out the gas station for no reason.
Really?
No, and got harassed. You know, I see it every day up here.
But I don't see the police taking a knee.
Well, it depends on where you are.
I'm going to tell you one area that I am seeing something is at Cold Spring and Park Heights. I'm seeing they're keeping that clean, but I live in one of the highest voting, richest black communities in the city. The mayor, like I said, lives next door to me, and we can't even get, the city gave us money to clean up and do new shopping center there. It's beautiful down there, and we got these people sitting out there on milk crates, nodding, and young folks sitting there selling drugs and sitting under the shade trees on all these lots, which they're having to cut down these beautiful Japanese elm trees because these people are sitting under there and doing and nodding and sleeping under there with their cans and their trash and everything. And the mayor lives next door, and we can't get that done. That's 21215. Are you talking about 21215, sir?
Yeah, because I think this is selective policing.
I know what you're talking about. They all selling drugs right there across from that post office.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and right there by Michelangelo's. Again, I do Uber Eats at nighttime. I'm telling you that I was just there. I was just there Friday night delivering food from Michelangelo's, and it was like a party.
The gas station, right? That gas station.
Yeah, the gas station. The gas station was off the hook.
A drugstore.
Yeah.
That's a 24-hour drugstore.
Open air drug market.
All right, thanks, Rick. Thank you so much.
Open air drug markets flourish.
He's seeing a little bit. He said they stopped him, so I know that didn't make you happy, but they always seem to get the innocent. Glord, I believe it is.
Yes, Glory McGuire.
And
how you doing, sir?
I'm very well.
How y'all
Brother
doing?
Leo,
hey.
I love Leo when he calls. I love him. He's a man. A lot of wisdom like myself because I've been a community active person for a long, long time. And I used to live in that area, Dolefield, Callaway. I used to live next door to Jim Parker in that area, so I know that area very well. Unfortunate, everything that callers call in, it's all over the city. It's all over the city. So until we can correct that. But what I want to make a comment on, a couple comments. Sheila Dixon, I've been knowing her when she first went to college, and she used to go to Bethel Church.
AME, yes.
That's how long she's been in the community.
Right.
As well. And y'all should know this. In her community, even though Annapolis controls most mayors, believe it or not, and there's a small group in Baltimore City, a Jewish group that controls Baltimore City to tell people what to do. So that needs to be searched out as well. But when Sheila was in, like we had those billboards in our community about cigarettes, Newports, alcohol, she had those signs removed from our community because that's what was killing us. And then when they couldn't put up advertisement anymore, they started painting on their trucks, on these trucks that goes. So that's when they first started, and getting to those like gift cards, and it was a small thing because people had called in on the station to let people know, hey, look, other politicians did stuff worse than that. But when I was watching the news, for the longest time, the news media, all they kept focusing on the gift cards, and all the people that they was kept concentrating on, because they didn't come in my community, because I'm an activist in my community, Howell Park Activity Association. So they didn't come in our community to talk to people that, and like Leo, and had some knowledge on those gift cards, and we could have really stood up to the news media. But and that's what happened. So the news media used their
power exactly
to get rid of her.
I agree with you.
They
Thank
spent
you so
$1 million.
much,
They spent $1.5 million to get her, and they didn't. They gave her pension, and they spent all this money. And Martin O'Malley, in my estimation, was culpable in more than one scheme in terms of millions of dollars, public schools notwithstanding, and nothing is done about it. But again, I heard what people say, that we can't do what they do. but I'm just saying, true. Wrong is wrong.
It is wrong.
But
they get away with murder. They get away with genocide.
But
they don't. Let me keep moving, Leo. Thank you. You're absolutely right. I believe it is Jeter. Welcome to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People. Do you have a question or comment, sir? Jeter.
G-Rod.
All right, here are you. There you are. Thank you for holding.
G-Rod.
Oh, G-Rod.
Oh, G-Rod. They wrote Jeter here. Go ahead. Go ahead.
You're on the air.
I think he's hacking.
Don't listen to your radio.
He's talking to someone. Jeter, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, you have a question or comment. Welcome.
Is there two
Sheila Dixon said we're talking about? What I'm saying is, a crook is a crook. Like you said, a crook is a crook. Wrong is wrong. She stole. Now, I don't care about the other politicians stealing. She was convicted of stealing. A lot of things that she done while she was in there was against us. She cut the kids' summer jobs. The library, she closed them. She closed the firehouses. She the one that initially did all that. She's not no hero. I wonder what Sheila Dixon we talking about.
She was also dealing with budgetary issues in a recession at the time, though.
Y'all making this lady seem like she's a hero. She's a crook. A crook.
So you wouldn't
Many more than the other crooks.
You wouldn't be voting for her, huh? Hello, Jeter, you there? He called her. Well,
Martin O'Malley's a crook, and he's a continuing crook.
Well, he
wants to be president again.
Yeah, but he ain't gonna get to be president, man. I had a lot of my white friends were considering them. When I got through telling them about O'Malley, they went, "Okay, gotcha." Nobody's going to vote for that man. Anytime you risk 1/6 of the population of a whole city, and they're all black people, that shows who you are.
I don't think we're necessarily supporting Sheila Dixon. We're just bringing up a point that we.
Yes, but he had valid points, and I was going to say that, and I don't mean to cut you off. But see, the thing of it was they had her because she stole. They say she stole from children. Yeah. And many folks can't get over that. You don't take from children. I think that was the worst thing they could have charged her with. Well, almost. Who was it that old politician that says better be caught with a dead girl than a live boy?
So you give her a pension.
So you give her a pension, yeah, but she had to go through something to even do that, didn't she? She didn't get that as easily as she should have gotten.
She had to resign at the right time before she was actually
right. But I mean, that gentleman. See, this is what Patrick Henderson's Meet the People show is about.
So she was blackmailed.
She was not only was she blackmailed, but
$83,000 a year pension.
I think it's $60,000.
I thought it was 83.
I think it's 60, but we won't debate that.
Okay.
Anyway, it's 5 figures, and but we at least get to listen to what you have to say. Thank you, Jeter, for saying what you said. David Anthony Wiggins, are you there?
Afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
How you doing,
David?
David?
Brother.
Good afternoon.
Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Come off your speaker. We can't hear you real well. Come off your speaker, can you?
No, I'm on a regular telephone.
Okay, well, put your mouth a little closer. Thank you.
Okay, how's that?
That's a little better. I'll push you up here, too.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The sheriff is the chief executive law enforcement officer in this city, and all issues of public safety are within his bailiwick and his power and duties jurisdiction to effect. And the sheriff has allowed a lot of the corruption that you are complaining about to go on and on and on for 34 years now. 34 years, longer than some people have been alive.
Come quickly, Dave. We're running out of time. I hear you. You said this.
You know I'm running for sheriff. You know I'm running as a Republican.
Right.
You knew Frank Conway. Frank Conway left the corrupt Democrat Party.
Yes, he did.
And became a Republican. Now, you want a memorandum of understanding between a candidate and your organizations? I'd be willing to sign one and have it notarized where you can hold me to the contract that I make with the people. See, because this is a legal battleground that we're on. And we have to have someone that's willing to enforce not just the Maryland Constitution and Declaration of Rights, but the city charter.
Individually, I support your candidacy for sheriff.
Yes, I do too.
I just want you to know that.
Yeah, I want you to. You know, I'd have before, and I agree with you. We got to get rid of this guy. He's just sitting there occupying space.
Where's the media? The media doesn't cover the sheriff's campaign.
No,
they don't want to say anything about it.
He's endorsed by the president of City Council, Bernard Jack Young, and Mary Pat Clark, and some other people.
Let me say this. The reason is that the people don't realize the power that the sheriff has, because he has been so, feckless over the last 30 years, as you say. They don't realize the sheriff can do stuff in as far as changing things
and
in the
city. Democratic Party is covering for him.
Yes. And
they know he's
yes.
He gets his money from the FOP.
Just shut up. Yeah.
People don't know that the FOP that is beating you down and fighting you and corrupting your city, he's their candidate. You look at his candidate campaign forms, and you will see the money that flows in from the FOP. The FOP also endorsed Hogan.
Not surprised.
You have these people. Hogan, name one black Republican that Hogan has endorsed in Baltimore City. Name one.
Yeah, well, what's the lieutenant governor's name?
Rutherford.
Rutherford.
Have you reached out to the governor's
He's
office,
from
David?
Harford County. He's not from Baltimore City. But name one Republican. There's Ronald Owens Bay running for 45th delegate. And he did the, Dunbar Initiative, making Dunbar a historic site. And Hogan hasn't reached out to him. We have black Republicans running in this city that the man hasn't even said anything to.
Yes,
Brother David, did you reach out to the governor by any chance or
Yes,
anybody
I
from the
have,
Republican Party for support?
Response. None. And I understand now that Cameron Miles was his outreach person. And I reached out to Cameron, but I haven't gotten anything back from him.
What about any other Republicans throughout the state?
I've reached out to the Central Committee, which I want a seat on, and I will be taking my seat in the 2nd District in November. I'm on the Republican Central Committee. They won't even reach out to me.
Right on. Right on.
So I'm going to use that seat as a bully pulpit.
Yeah, I know you is.
I'm going to use it, and I'm going to make sure that our people get some type of representation from the state level in this city.
Thank you, David. I'm sorry. I got to go. I got a bunch of other calls, but we wish you well. Congratulations on that, man. That kind of lifted my day.
So there was a lawsuit. Again, the citizens did get together with some lawyers, and they filed a lawsuit contesting the election during Sheila Dixon and Mayor Pugh. And it got thrown out of court. And guess who the sitting judge was at the time?
Don't say Brown.
It was James Badar.
Badar?
Yeah.
Why do I know that name?
Badar is the same judge presiding over the consent decree.
Right, he's the one that's in charge.
He's a federal
judge.
He's the presiding officer on the consent decree.
He's the same one that's
what a tangled web we weave.
Right.
Charles, welcome to Patrick. And I'm sorry to call you without enthusiastic welcoming, but I just really, I got to go to the bathroom after hearing that. Welcome to Patrick Henderson, Meet the People. You have a question or comment?
Yes, I have a comment. I definitely got a comment on this bash on the media. I just don't understand how people continue to take this stance when that's dealing with politics. And, you know, when you have somebody in politics that is supposed to be looking out for the people, I mean, that's a real serious issue. But the media has taken the people to task. When they told us that people on drugs need to be drug tested, and we had this mad push for drug testing, which caused so many people to lose jobs, not get jobs, and are not working now. That is what has hurt your family. So the fact that she's not the mayor is not going to make your family any better, but the fact that you can get a good, viable job with a good wage, that affects how how we live. And see, all those white people, they on drugs, they're getting drug tested, but those people that are testing them are part of their family too. So they're getting off. We're the only ones negatively affected by the drug test.
Thank you.
I'd like to see us test some of the government offices. I bet you we'd lose a lot of folks.
Hakeem, Hakeem, you've been busy this morning. I've been listening to you this morning, commenting on shows and stuff. Welcome to Patrick Henderson. We're always happy to hear from you. How are you, sir? Hakeem? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm here, Brother Patrick. How you doing today?
Well, you have a question or comment?
Doing?
Good afternoon, brother.
I apologize. Quick question. Do any of you familiar with the work of Dr. Ron Walters, Professor Ron Walters?
Yeah, at University of Virginia, no? Where's he, Dr. Ron Walters?
He used to be at the University of Maryland.
It was Maryland, okay.
As well as Howard. He wrote several books.
Right.
Conservative public policy and black interests, as well as he wrote a book on presidential black political politics.
Yeah, you know,
is he black?
Yeah, he is black, and you know what? You used to see him quite a bit on the news, on these things. Is he got elderly and he does it because he's been around for a long time. He's been one of the voices in the community. What'd you say?
No, he transitioned. He actually.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Some years ago, but there recently there was another book written about his life, and I bring that up. I was actually at the Congressional Black Caucus the other day, last week, and some individuals mentioned his name, and he was, you know, what he called a practical
black nationalists, and this is where individuals, we have to have a practical understanding of various strategies, and unfortunately, we in this town, lack on strategy in terms of our analysis and our broad research. But I want to ask you all a question, and you can be objective if you care. The Ben Jealous campaign, where is, for instance, Kwesi Mfume and former president of the NAACP, Ben Chambers? I'm just very curious.
But but now remember this morning, I heard you this morning on Larry, and I like their explanation of it. Kwesi Mfume is head of the Board of Regents for Morgan State. So they're saying he can't really piss nobody off. He can't go for Hogan too loudly, and he damn sure can't go for Jealous because that's the nemesis of Hogan. So he's sort of seemingly stuck in a hard place. Would you agree or no?
Well, yeah. I mean, and that's what I'm saying. That's where it's like, okay, I mean, when that's where I'm just like, if people can't, just like the comptroller, I mean, it's like people who have fought and said vote for years. I mean, it's just a lot of confusion in the black community, and that's why I don't, I don't spend that much necessary time on politics because it's just a bunch of confusion. You hear so many different
excuses,
perspectives, and philosophies and opinions, and that's why I'm like, we need alternative. What Brother Leo's doing with the young people.
Yeah.
I mean, just some solid things.
Yeah. In fact, we're meeting tonight. You ought to come over at 7:00. But look,
all right, Brother Leo. Thank you.
Yeah. No, I'm saying that we need to understand that Kwesi Mfume is not a Colin Kaepernick. I mean, in other words, he's not going to courageously stand up at this juncture in his life to take a stand for sake of ethics and principle. He's going to follow the money and do what is discreetly he feels will protect his special interests.
Isn't that
not everybody is going to stand up come hell or high water.
Is that not the modus operandi? Is that not the mode of operation for our black politicians? We're seeing it with our mayor. She's going to be all this strong and the stand up for the, and then when she gets in there and stuff. But one thing I'm gonna say about Trump, and I can't stand his dumb butt, but he said every rally he has promises kept. Why is it that our elected officials don't feel like they have to keep their promises to us? What is that, Leo? Where does that come from?
Well, it comes from years of having one-party rule. If you look at the legislative black caucus here in Annapolis, you'll find, thank God, we got some new people elected office, and we're going to see where they go this come January with the 90-day session of the General Assembly. But they have to learn to block vote, and frequently they're busy allowing themselves to be divided and conquered. You have to block vote. If you've got, 52 votes, sometimes you have to throw those 52 votes into action in terms of locking down the agenda of the General Assembly. In other words, our issues have to be front and center for a black agenda, whether it's education or police brutality or whatever, jobs creation. If we're not pushing that kind of an agenda and we let them tell us simply that the only thing we need to discuss is medical marijuana or recreational marijuana, if that's the only issue, then we're in trouble. We've got to say these are our issues, and we're not going to let any other business go forward in Annapolis until our issues are addressed. Don't wait until 5 days before sign or die when the assembly is adjourning, and then you allow Mike Miller or Mike Bush in the House of Delegates to play the game of, we don't have enough time to address your issue. We've got to have people who have the courage to say, from day one in Annapolis, this is what we want for our schools, the heating, the air conditioning, whatever it is, jobs, apprenticeship job training, placement programs with stipends. If we don't have that kind of attitude prevailing among our elected officials, then they're going to continue to manipulate us in the ways they've always had.
I agree with you 100%. I've got 7 more minutes here. 410-481-1010. 410-481-1010. My question for you, and I would just want a short answer if you just want to call me, and just let me know. Do you believe that black lives do not matter to black people and white people? We know that the white people, they show us how they do. But do you think that our elected officials come leading us to believe they're like sheep or wolves in sheep clothing? There's an undervaluation of white people for us. There's an undervaluation of black people for us. Even with our own self. You talked about the funeral where that kid was shot at his brother's funeral. Do we undervalue ourselves? And everybody else just takes a note from it. Even in the hospitals, they say that black people get less pain medicine. When we complain about pain, when we're in the hospital, they give us less pain medicine because they believe that we can endure more pain than other people. They said, why would you say that? They say, well, God, man, who else would let anybody else treat them like we've been treating them for 400 years? Duh. Okay, so does that mean that we give off this persona, that we can take this pain, that we're supposed to have this pain, and it infuses our elected politicians and those white powers that have rule over us? Leo, what do you think?
Well, I'm not sure here. I'm saying that I believe we have as much pain and we're as sensitive or lack thereof of pain as anybody else. And I think we've been stereotyped. And we stereotype ourselves. Sometimes we engage in acts of group self-hatred based on the trauma that we've racism that abounds in our lives. Mm-hmm. But no, we have to just simply persevere when it comes to courageously and forcefully speaking to our needs being met, as opposed to having other people tell us, give him a chance. And try to do this. And if he doesn't do you right, then you get that individual black man and you find another black man or woman. Mm-hmm. But you don't stereotype us and say, well, we can't. No, we sometimes are our own worst enemy in terms of following the rules of the slave master, as it were, to point fingers at each other when we don't give ourselves a lift, give ourselves the benefit. And that means we got to love ourselves more. And in order to do that, you've got to know from whence we came in terms of our heritage and culture. Mm-hmm. If you don't know your heritage and culture, how can you love yourself?
Yes.
So to say that some of us who have been on welfare generationally, mm-hmm. and some of our families 50, 60 years are at a point where we know our heritage and culture, we don't. And we don't know we're black except we've got the same skin color. Mm-hmm. But we don't have the love for ourselves because no one's taken the time to mentor us and help us. And that requires street ministries and churches, not just Jehovah's Witnesses, but churches have got to be about the business, as do community organizations and associations, about out in the street, on the basketball court, on the corners, trying to bring people to a level of consciousness and awareness mm-hmm. where we can employ ourselves, take care, and from an entrepreneurial mm-hmm. perspective, mm-hmm. that we own our own businesses and that we learn to love each other more. Mm-hmm. And that's a tough road to hoe in the sense that we've been victimized for so long. It just takes a strong commitment to continue to uplift. And that kind of uplift comes from the ministries that we have operationally. So it can't just come from radio or TV. It requires us, to the extent that we have the courage, to be on the streets and to reclaim brothers and sisters who need that reclamation.
I'm going to go along with you up to a point. One valid point that I think that we should never forget, and it is the most salient. Salient mean, y'all know, when you put food on salt, that's a salient.
I got you.
You understand the most salient point is in the family, where it all starts. See, the way we talk to each other, the way we talk to our children, that very simple thing. Do you know by the age of 3 years old, a white child knows almost from 3 to 5. A white child knows 1.5 million words. Do you know how many words a black child knows by that time?
No.
250,000.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We don't talk to them. We just tell them, get somewhere and sit down. Stop. No. Don't inquire. so then their vocabularies aren't built because we haven't added value to words.
I would agree.
And that's, to me, that's the number one problem. Because if we can change that, see, we might not get this generation or the generations preceding us, but if we can start this next generation with that type of critical thinking, asking them what they think, listening to them, validating them, worshiping them. Yes, I said it. Worshiping them as though they are a gift from God because they
putting them
are
on the pedestal.
High
on the pedestal.
More celebration and less correction. When we start understanding that we're going to make a difference in our people's lives, then they will value themselves. And because they're valued and because they value themselves, as you say, then they're going to say, no, this ain't right.
But that's what you're doing in the school
and that's
with your ministry.
Yes, sir.
That's what I'm doing with Roots of Scouting and others are doing.
Yes, sir.
And we got to keep doing it because some folks don't have families.
Right. You're right.
Some of them don't have families to go to. Some of them are orphans. I'm sorry to say.
The family is broken.
Or the family is so broken.
And stuck up on this foolishness of the past. Well, my mama beat me, so I turned out all right. No, you didn't.
No, we just have to.
Mad at the world.
We have to persevere in our determination to overcome.
We need a plan. We can't keep operating under the system of mom and them did it this way, so I turned out all right. No, you didn't. How many of you grew up want to do what you're doing right now? Not many of you. When you were a kid, you wanted to be a doctor. You wanted to be a lawyer. And I'm finding in my kids, so many want to be policemen.
But those aspirations come as a result of the direction, the nurturing from the family and the public schools and or churches or what have you.
The number one is the validation, though, and that's the one that we keep missing. It's the validation.
The validation of their achievement,
of them as
on their
human.
recognition. As,
yes, that's what's missing.
Yeah, I concur.
Yes,
we just have to do more of it.
Yes, we do, and more of us have got to do it. That's the big problem. We got to understand. This is not the time to get distracted, y'all. This is
or
not
to give up.
And not the time to fall off course.
Right.
It is not. And I tell you what, God be my judge. God be my deliverer. God is my healer. God is my helper. Before I leave this planet, I believe that we're going to do things, and we're all ministry, but just because it's ministry don't mean it's holy.
Amen.
I'm talking about the spiritual connections of us to each other and to God. And we understand that we're all spiritually connected. It ain't got nothing to do about no denomination, and it has nothing to do with theocracy. It has to do with human beings loving one another. That is the greatest asset that we have because love is the miracle. You've been listening to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People. Leo Burrows, I love you, my brother.
Praise God, from whom all blessings flow.
Yes, and we passed the ammunition up in here today. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for calling, but we can't teach you nothing. All we hope to do is to make you think and cause you to think. And if we do that, then we believe that the changes and act. You can't just think. You got to act on it once you think, because prayer without works is what? Dead. So thank you again, Leo.
Amen.
God bless you.
Brother
and all
Jason,
that you do.
God bless you.
Yeah, Brother Jason, who is
Family,
just a
make
mountain.
sure you subscribe to us on YouTube, Patrick Henderson's Meet the People channel on YouTube. You can find us on Periscope and on Facebook Live.
God bless you. Have a great week. We'll see you next Sunday at 3:30 on Spirit 1400. You've been listening to Patrick Henderson Meets the People on WLB 1010 Baltimore, Urban Media at your door. God bless. Have a great week.
1010 WOLB Baltimore and WERQ FM HD3 Baltimore. The new 1010 WOLB with talk in the day and soul at night.
If you owe the IRS back taxes, the IRS just hired 4 giant private collection agencies to track down folks who owe the IRS. So if you think dodging them was stressful in the past, it's going to get a whole lot tougher. Optima Tax Relief has this advice. Don't wait. Solve your tax problem.
Step on my Nikes and see how much I value my Nikes. Okay? That's what I'm talking about for us. You ready? You want to close out? I'm good.
Yeah.
You got a class? No, not till October. Well,
but Brother Leo, did you want to announce your?
Oh yeah, how did we forget?
Yeah.
Leo, y'all know Leo is working with his Roots of Scouting, and they're having their annual crab feast and party on Friday, November the 2nd, from 8 p.m. to 12 midnight, and they're having it at Forum Caters, which is a nice room. 4210 Primrose Avenue. Yeah. 4210 Primrose Avenue, the annual crab feast for Roots of Scouting. And I just want you all to know that I buy tickets every year for it. But this year, I'm trying to put a washer and a dryer at Liberty Elementary School, because some of the kids come to school in their pajamas, and so how you would feel if you came to school in pajamas. And Leo and the Roots Society and this organization have agreed to help us do that. So y'all want to know where your money is going? I'm telling you, it is not going just to pay salaries. They are doing things in the community, out camping over the summer. They did an incredible camping out for the kids, teaching them how to live and build a fire. Because y'all, I got a feeling we might have to learn how to do that. So I just want to thank you, Leo, for all that you do.
And we're meeting tonight. We want folks to come out tonight if you're able. We know it's a little rain tonight, but it's at the meeting tonight is at 7 o'clock at the Church of St. Cecilia, Hilton Street and Windsor Avenue, 3301 Windsor Avenue at Hilton Street, zip code 21216. Park behind the church. Come in off of the Hilton Street parking lot. Tonight, the 17th of September. The crab feast, again, is this November the 2nd. The tickets are $65 per person.
And worth every penny of it?
Yeah.
Because I went down to them, and all them crabs you can eat, and I can't even hardly eat them because of my hand.
Yeah.
But I'll be up in there trying to crack them shells. And
well, Jason will come and he'll make sure you can crack them. It's
my wife helped me. My wife loves crabs. So my
$65 a person.
Crabs.
And as I said, it's November 2nd. And call me at 443-651-2578. 443-651-2578. That's my cell number. If you need tickets and or want to attend our meetings, we need all the support and activism we can possibly get.
Yes. Thank you, Leo. Well, it's been an incredible week, our past week, and it's going to be a great week this week.
I was at Morgan Saturday.
Oh yeah, this is for the Clarence Logan Civil Rights Pioneers.
Yeah. Robert Bell. Yeah, I'm on the board, and Robert Bell presided at the meeting. Judge Bell for that, and we're pursuing a lot of history for alumni and students in this coming year. We're going to do a lot in terms of making sure that we know from whence we came and how to focus on addressing the problems of the community. We're going to be an activist group on campus. So.
Well, we know you are. His name is in the history books over there, and his pictures are hanging up on the wall because Leo has been there from his teenage years, and he's been a soldier ever since then. Well, you all have a great week. Remember to hug a baby, hug a child, love them. Stop correcting them so much. Find the glow, find a little joy in what they do. Let them know you love them and you appreciate them. Every chance you can come here, give me some of that sugar. Get some of that love. Give them love. Love them. Let them know their value. When we start doing that, you're going to see a difference in that child's reaction in that child's life inside your house. But you got to remember that they are not going to be children forever. No, it's the briefest time of their lives. So what they do in their childhood will determine in which they go in. And remember, that ain't what you say that they're going to do. It's what you do that they're going to do. So remember to be mindful of yourselves and your words. God bless. Have a great week. We'll see you all. Bye, Jason. See y'all next Sunday on Spirit 1400 at 3:30. Bye-bye.
Is somebody coming in?
No. Is this someone at the door?
Well, they're out in the